major scale is sort of the DNA of Western music. There's sort of an unlimited potential for that architecture to generate chords, melodies, entire songs. Even if you change key and just move the architecture about, it seems to have an unlimited potential. Even when we talk about jazz theory, that's sort of a little bit out there, like we're altering chords and, like there's the flat 5 and the sharp 9 and the flat 9. We're all talking about it in relation to the major scale. We're using the major scale as a ruler to describe how we alter it and what we're doing, right? So as such, it's a pretty important architecture, and it's a really good idea on the journey from, moving from a guitar player, a person who plays the guitar, to a musician who plays the guitar. Their instrument is the guitar. It's a very, very good idea to map this infrastructure and this architecture onto the guitar in a really holistic manner. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Chris. Today you will learn how to reprogram the major scale to move it out of the vertical sort of positions that we learn it in. We're going to be using octaves and controlling a couple of constraints to shear that information and project it on the neck in a way that moves it out of those vertical positions and allows you to recall it very, very easily, no matter where you are on the neck and no matter what key you're in. Let's get started. Okay, let's reprogram the major scale. First of all, I want to ask you a question. When you learned the major scale, how did you learn it? If I said, play an A major scale through 2 octaves, would you do this? Maybe you would do this. Maybe you might even do this. 3 different ways to play the exact same notes. They look pretty much completely different. Maybe you learned it this way. And you say to yourself, well, I can play it there. That's where I learned it. I don't know it there. I think I could make it happen off the A string because it's mostly the same, but I don't know it down here. Why is that? I'll show you why. Let's take this example right here. This is a 2-octave major scale, key of A. What we know intellectually is when I get to the octave, I'm going to play the exact same notes, just up an octave. They're the same exact notes, they're just higher in pitch by an octave. Well, then why does it look like this? It looks completely different. How on earth am I supposed to make the visual connection that these are the same groups of notes when they look so different? It's impossible. It's impossible for me to make that connection visually. We're going to end that today. Here's what we're going to do. When we get up to that octave, we're going to apply a very, very simple constraint and say, I'm going to finger it the same way. So I'm going to use this finger. Watch the B string. Now it looks the same. The first 5 notes are exactly the same fingering. Let's start it again. I ran out of strings. Here I am with no more new information. And I'm finding out that I have a task to complete that I can't do on this instrument. The limit is not here in my hands or in my brain. It's here on the guitar. I found out that I don't have enough strings to complete the task. Because I've laid this out in an easy to see form. I've used the octave and a simple constraint of saying, I'm going to use the same finger to start the scale to allow me to see very, very clearly how those 2 octaves are exactly the same set of intervals. Okay, let's go back to this. Remember we were like, what? That doesn't even look like anything. What? That doesn't look like the thing I started up here. Start an A major scale with your pinky on the 12th fret. It's exactly the same as this. Because the constraint has changed. I'm starting with my pinky. Wherever you start an A major scale with your pinky, it'll look exactly the same. Now we're starting to uncover the very, very nature of the way this instrument is constructed by applying these simple constraints and ideas. We're in control of the architecture now, and the guitar is the limiting factor. It's a very, very good place to be. There are many different ways to play the major scale. Maybe you learned this as the B Dorian mode, and that's got the same notes as A major. Does that sound familiar? If it does, just play it up an octave. Don't go all the way through where it's all different. Just take the same notes and go up an octave. I'm out of strings again. But I know where I was going and I knew the task I had to complete. There are tons more examples of this. I'm just giving you the idea. Putting a seed in the ground, you have to germinate this. Take any major scale, make up a position of a major scale and take it through the octaves and watch how the architecture remains stable and solid. It's these vertical positions that blind us to how beautiful this architecture is and how repeatable it is. Okay, so there it is. We've just moved this major scale by controlling the constraints and by using the octaves as a bracket. We've allowed ourselves to duplicate pattern-based information in a much more easy to understand and easy to see way. As you saw in that first example of the double octave sort of vertical display of the scale, that second octave is programmed in a whole different way. So even just looking at the first interval, that whole step from the root, when you look at it from your ring finger to the pinky, it's a whole step. When you look at it from your pinky to your index finger on the next string, it looks like a whole different interval. It's impossible to catalog these intervallic ideas in a consistent manner when you do it that way. The way to do it, the way to map this information across the neck is to use constraints to control that information so it's easy to digest and to put it into octave brackets so you can see it very clearly and repeat it over and over again. I hope this helps. This is the way to get that information on the neck. I've tabbed all this out. That's on my Patreon page. That link is in the description below. I just want to say that my Patreon page is becoming sort of this really cool community hub where we're talking about these ideas. I'm posting information as well as all of the tabs for these videos. And I'm also posting, an exclusive video there every once in a while just to sort of show my appreciation for the support and also inject that community with some new information. We're having a blast over there. So if you're interested in going a little deeper, that would be a great place for you to go and head over. I hope this information is helpful. Learning that major scale and mapping that architecture on this instrument is a really important thing to do, like I said at the top, in a holistic manner. Not just, I know it here and I think I know it here and I sort of got some of it here, but I don't know what about there. You blow all that stuff out and you get command of an instrument in which you're operating within and sometimes, outside of the limitations of the instrument itself. Okay, hope it's been helpful and I'll see you next time.